I remember the day clearly. The sky was gray, the air heavy with dust from the unpaved streets of our neighborhood. I sat on the cracked steps outside our tiny home, staring at my empty hands. Hunger gnawed at my stomach again. "Ryan, you look like a ghost," Maya said softly, holding out a small bowl. Her skin glowed even in the dim afternoon light. "Here, eat." I blinked, unsure. This is yours." She smiled, shaking her head. "I've had enough. You need it more than me." I hesitated, then took the bowl with trembling hands. The warm rice and vegetables filled more than my stomach. It filled something deeper. "Thank you, Maya. I don't know how to repay you." She laughed lightly. "Just don't forget me, okay?" I swallowed hard, emotion thick in my throat. "I could never forget you. I swear one day I'll be someone worthy. I'll marry you when I'm rich." Her smile faltered for a moment, eyes searching mine. "Promise me?" "I promise." From behind us, Jason's voice cut through, sharp and mocking. "You're dreaming, Ryan. Marry her when you're rich? You can't even afford lunch most days." I clenched my jaw, ignoring the laughter of others around us. "Maybe now I can't, Jason. But I will. I have to." Jason smirked, stepping closer. "And what if she forgets you by then? Or finds someone better?" I looked at Maya. She wasn't laughing, just watching quietly. Her trust in me made my chest ache. "I'll make sure she never forgets." My mother called from the doorway, her voice tired but warm. "Ryan, don't get into trouble. Eat and be home before dark." "Yes, Mom," I said, bowing slightly. Inside, I was burning with determination. I couldn't stay here forever, trapped by empty streets and empty stomachs. I had to leave. I had to earn more than anyone imagined. Maya nudged me with her elbow. "You're thinking too much." "I'm not thinking," I said softly. "I'm planning. Every day, every night. I won't be poor forever. Not if I can help it." She tilted her head, concern flickering in her eyes. "Promise me you won't lose yourself while chasing it. Don't let money make you forget what's important." Her words stung more than Jason's laughter. I shook my head, desperate. "I'll remember. You're important. More than anything." Jason laughed again, louder this time. "Important? She's just a girl, Ryan. You're wasting your time. Focus on surviving, not playing hero." I looked at him, my voice quiet but sharp. "No, Jason. I won't waste my time. I'll prove you wrong. One day you'll see." Maya smiled softly, touching my hand briefly. "I believe in you, Ryan. Just be careful. Life isn't fair." I nodded, but deep down I hated the truth in her words. Life had been cruel to us from the start. My mother worked herself to exhaustion and still bills piled up. Our home was falling apart, the neighbors whispering about debts and misfortune. Yet, sitting there with Maya's hand brushing mine, hope flared inside me like fire. "I'll make it right," I whispered to myself. "I'll rise. And I'll come back for you." Jason shook his head, muttering to his friends, "He'll never make it. Mark my words." I didn't respond. I couldn't waste energy on him now. My eyes stayed on Maya, burning the image of her kindness into my memory. Hunger, poverty, and ridicule surrounded me, but I had a promise. And a promise was stronger than fear, stronger than any obstacle. That night, lying on the cold floor of our small home, I made a vow to myself. I would work, struggle, and fight every day until I earned what I deserved. And I would keep my word to the girl who had fed me when no one else would. Because life had been unfair, yes, but I wouldn't let it win. Not now, not ever. School felt smaller than ever that year. I walked through the hallways, books clutched tight, trying not to notice Jason leaning against the lockers, smirking. "Look who it is," he called loud enough for half the hall to hear. Poor little Ryan, still dreaming about riches and princesses? I kept walking, but my stomach twisted. I could hear whispers behind me. "Why don't you just give up, Ryan?" he taunted again. "You'll never be anything." I swallowed, trying to keep my voice steady. "Maybe I won't be rich today, Jason. But one day you'll see." He laughed, flicking a paper ball toward me. Daydreamer. Later in class, Mr. Thompson caught me staring out the window, lost in thought. "Ryan, is everything all right?" he asked kindly. "Yes, sir. Just thinking," I muttered. He nodded, writing something on my paper. "Keep your head up. Opportunities come to those who work for them." I felt a spark of hope, but outside, Jason was whispering to the other kids, making jokes at my expense. I could hear him laughing when I was dismissed. After school, I found Maya waiting near the corner store. She held a small book in her hands. "Hey," she said softly. "I got this for you." I blinked. "For me? You didn't have to." I wanted to, she said, smiling faintly. I know things are hard. I hugged the book to my chest. Thanks, Maya. I don't know what I'd do without you. She shrugged. You'll figure it out. You always do. Walking home, I took an alley shortcut and found Jason there blocking my way. Where are you running off to, dreamer? He said. I bet you're hiding your little plans again. I'm just going home, I said, keeping my tone calm. He stepped closer. Or maybe you're sneaking your homework to the teacher before I get to it. You know, you should be careful. People don't like someone trying to look better than them. I frowned. What's that supposed to mean? Jason smirked. Nothing. Just think about it. I wanted to punch him, but I swallowed my anger. I had to stay focused. At home, Mom was waiting, tired as always. Ryan, how was school? Same as always, I said, shrugging. Jason. She sighed. Just ignore him. Focus on your work. You're smarter than his tricks. I nodded, but the next week proved harder. Jason started taking credit for my ideas in class. During a group project, he whispered instructions to others, twisting my suggestions as if they were his. When the teacher asked, he smiled confidently and presented my work as his own. Ryan, don't worry about it, Mr. Thompson said later. I know the truth, but sometimes people take shortcuts. Keep doing your best. That's what counts. I clenched my fists, watching Jason smirk from the corner. That evening, I went to the market to work odd jobs, carrying bags, running errands, anything to earn a few coins. Maya walked with me for part of the way. You work too hard, she said, concern in her eyes. I have to, I said. I want to change things, for us. She stopped, gripping my arm lightly. Don't burn yourself out, Ryan. Promise me you'll rest sometimes. I promise, I said, though I knew I couldn't. Not yet. Not when I had a plan. A week later, the betrayal that burned me to my core happened. Jason invited me to help him with a small neighborhood fundraiser. He acted friendly, charming, even apologetic. Come on, Ryan. Let's work together. You know, old times. I hesitated, then nodded. All right. I'll help. We went door to door and I did my part, collecting donations and speaking to neighbors. At the end, Jason handed the envelopes to the organizer and whispered, "Watch this." Before I could react, he told everyone I had been lazy, that I'd tried to scam the fundraiser, that I was unreliable. Eyes turned on me, shocked. I stammered, "No. I did." Jason laughed, walking away. Sorry, Ryan. Truth hurts. I wanted to run after him, to scream, but I just stood there, frozen. The neighbors' eyes were judging, whispering, shaking their heads. Humiliation poured over me like ice water. Later, I sat alone by the alley where Maya had first given me a meal. My hands shook. How could he? I whispered, anger and helplessness battling in my chest. I thought of Maya, her kindness, her trust. I can't let this go, I muttered. Not now, not ever. He'll pay someday. Someday he'll see. The fire of revenge was planted that night, quiet but fierce. I knew life had handed me betrayal early, but I would use it. I would survive. I would rise. And when I returned, nothing would stop me from keeping my promise to Maya. The train smelled of oil and sweat, but I didn't care. I gripped my bag tightly, feeling the rattle of the tracks beneath me, and whispered to myself, this is it, a new life. Beside me, a man chuckled, noticing my anxious hands. First time heading to the city? Yes, I admitted. I want to start over. He nodded. City isn't easy. You'll work hard or it'll swallow you. I swallowed. I don't care. I have to make it work. When I arrived, the streets were louder, harsher, brighter than I imagined. People pushed past, cars honked endlessly, and neon signs screamed for attention. I wandered, feeling small, until a voice called from a nearby alley. You look lost, kid, said a tall man with sharp eyes. Name's Mr. Carson. You need work. Yes, sir, I said quickly. Anything, I'll do anything. He studied me for a moment. All right. Report to the workshop tomorrow. Don't be late. Thank you, I said, relief washing over me. The next day I discovered the truth. The work was grueling. 12 hours standing, carrying heavy crates, assembling parts with barely enough light. My hands ached, my back screamed, but I kept going. You're slow, Mr. Carson barked. Step it up or there's the door. I'll try harder, I muttered, pushing myself. Sweat burned my eyes, but I refused to stop. That night I sat on the curb outside, exhausted. I pulled out the small notebook Maya had given me. Her words stared back. You'll figure it out. You always do. I whispered, I'm trying, Maya. I'm trying so hard. In the city I met people who were as hungry as I was, some kind, some cruel. One man offered advice: if you want to rise, you have to take opportunities they throw, even if they cheat you. I nodded, thinking of Jason. His smirk haunted me. I won't let anyone humiliate me like he did, I muttered. But loneliness followed me everywhere. At night, I lay on the thin mattress in my rented room, listening to distant sirens and the chatter of strangers through paper-thin walls. Guilt crept in. Had I left Maya behind? Was she waiting? Did she even remember me? Stop thinking like that, I told myself. Focus. Survive first. Small victories came slowly. I learned to move faster, carry heavier loads, anticipate Mr. Carson's moods. One evening he nodded once at me. Better. Keep this up, kid. I grinned despite my exhaustion. Thank you, sir. Yet shadows of the past haunted me. In quiet moments, Jason's laughter echoed. Daydreamer, she'll forget you. I clenched my fists. I'll prove you wrong. During my breaks, I sent letters to Maya, careful not to reveal my struggles. I'm working hard. I'll be ready one day. Please wait for me, I scribbled, folding the paper tight. One day Mr. Carson called me over. You've got initiative. You notice what others don't. That's rare. I swallowed pride. Thank you. I want to learn more, do better. He nodded. Good. Keep your eyes open. The city rewards those who notice. Even with small praise, exhaustion never left me. My stomach growled from skipped meals, my fingers blistered from endless work. But every evening I held Maya's memory like armor. Her smile, her kindness, her trust, it all kept me going. At night I sometimes whispered to the dark, I'll come back, Maya. I'll keep my promise. I met others in the workshop, some friendly, some competitive. One coworker, Luis, offered guidance. Watch Carson carefully. Learn his routines. Don't just work hard, work smart. I nodded. I will. Yet the more I advanced, the more I realized the cost. Loneliness, guilt, fatigue, and the constant ache of missing home and Maya weighed heavily. I asked myself quietly, is it worth it? And then I thought of Jason. Of his sneers, his lies, the humiliation he caused. It's worth it, I whispered fiercely. For Maya, for me, for every insult I endured. One night, leaning against the cold brick wall of my tiny room, I looked at the city lights. They were beautiful but unforgiving. I smiled faintly. I'm closer now. Closer to being someone he can't touch, someone worthy of her. But the thought lingered, bitter and sweet. At what cost? I murmured, feeling the ache of every lonely night, every exhausted hand, every blistered finger. Dreams demanded sacrifice and I was paying in full. Still, I whispered to myself before sleep, letting the city's hum lull me, I'll rise. I'll come back. And I'll make sure nothing can stop me. I was finishing my shift when the letter arrived. My hands trembled as I tore it open, recognizing Maya's handwriting immediately. Right. I don't know what's true anymore, it began. My stomach tightened. I read further. Jason had been at it again, whispering lies about me, telling Maya I had failed in the city, that I'd wasted my life, that I had forgotten my promise. Every word felt like a punch to the chest. I slammed the letter onto the table. How could he do this? I muttered, anger and disbelief twisting inside me. Luis, my coworker, noticed. Everything okay, man? Jason, he's messing with Maya. She doesn't know what to believe anymore. Luis frowned. You planning to go confront him? I shook my head, pacing. Not yet. I can't. Not until I'm strong enough, until I can't be humiliated again. That night I wrote back to Maya, careful with every word. I'm alive. I'm working hard. Don't believe everything he says. I will keep my promise. Please wait for me. Folding the letter, I whispered, I have to prove him wrong, all of it. Days passed, each one heavier than the last. I imagined her reading Jason's lies, tears on her cheeks, confusion in her eyes. I wanted to be there, to scream the truth, but I was far away, powerless. I hate feeling this small, I told myself, gripping the edge of my table. I can't fix it now, but I will. Even at work, the weight followed me. Carson barked orders and I responded mechanically, my mind elsewhere. Luis tried to lighten the mood. You're quiet today. Something on your mind? Just family stuff, I muttered, forcing a smile. Nothing to worry about. At night, I walked the city streets alone, repeating her words in my mind. Life isn't fair. She was right. Nothing about this was fair. Jason had used lies to twist her trust, to make me seem weak. I clenched my fist. I'll make it right. Not now but soon. I'll be someone who can't be undermined. Messages arrived from Maya in bits and pieces. Questions about my life, worries about me, tiny hints that she still believed, yet doubt lingered. Each message was a dagger and a lifeline at the same time. I wish I could tell her everything, I muttered aloud, my voice breaking. I wish I could show her I'm not the failure he says I am. Luis shook his head gently. You'll get there. Don't let him see you falter. Use it. Make it fuel. I nodded slowly. You're right. I'll rise, for her. For us. I thought back to Jason's sneers, the way he laughed when he knew he had sown doubt. He thinks he can break me from here. He thinks he can ruin what I promised. I spat to the side, anger flaring. He's wrong. The next morning, I watched the city awaken, lights flickering, cars honking, people rushing past. A bitter wind blew through the streets and I smiled faintly. Every struggle, every insult, it's all fuel. One day I'll return and nothing will stop me. I remembered the small victories I'd earned in the workshop, the skill I had gained, the respect I'd started to earn. If Jason had wanted to see me weak, he was already failing, because I refused to crumble. Maya's face flashed in my mind, her kind eyes, her gentle smile. She believed in me once. I won't let him take that from her, not ever. That evening I practiced my resolve in the empty workshop. Patience, I whispered. Strength. Focus. Don't act out of anger. Act out of certainty. I imagined Jason standing in front of me, smirking as he always did. I'm coming, Jason. But not yet. You'll see what it's like when you push the wrong person too far. I sat by the window watching the city lights blur in the rain, feeling both small and determined. The betrayal stung, yes, but it was shaping me. Every lie he told, every doubt he planted, only added to the fire inside me. I'll work, I whispered to the dark. I'll rise. I'll come back for Maya, for the promise, and for myself. And when I do, nothing will be left of the person who thought he could break me. By the time I went to sleep, exhaustion settled in my bones, but my mind was alive with plans and dreams. Jason had started something he couldn't control. And I was just beginning. The city smelled different now, less harsh, more familiar. I walked into the office building, my shoes clicking against polished floors. Luis met me at the elevator, smirking. Look at you, he said. From sweat-stained crates to a suit that doesn't reek of oil. I forced a smile. It's still work. Just a different kind. Our business partner, Mr. Hayes, came over, shaking my hand. Ryan, good to see you. The new investment strategy you proposed is solid. Impressive work. Thank you, sir, I said, voice calm but my heart racing. This was the first real recognition I'd earned. Luis nudged me later. You see? All those long nights, skipping meals, carrying boxes, you're finally reaping it. I nodded, but a hollow feeling lingered. Success was sweet, but every victory reminded me of what I had lost. Maya. The city lights glittered, but I missed her smile, the warmth of her hand in mine. At lunch, I met a rival from another firm, Cole. Ryan, you're climbing fast, he said, a thin smile hiding envy. But don't forget, walls fall quickly in this city. I leaned back, calm. I know the risks. I plan accordingly. Cole raised an eyebrow. Bold words. Let's see if you can back them up. Later, I sat alone in my office, counting the returns from my investments. Every number was a step closer to freedom, a step closer to fulfilling my promise. But the more I gained, the more the emptiness gnawed at me. Luis popped his head in. You okay? You've been quiet. I looked up, forcing a grin. Just thinking about the past. About her. About what I left behind. Still carrying her memory, huh? He said softly. Makes you stronger, doesn't it? I nodded. It does. But it also reminds me of what I'm fighting for. That evening, I met Mr. Hayes in his office. Ryan, your discipline is unmatched. You're not just earning money, you're building a reputation. People notice. I don't want to be noticed for the wrong reasons, I said, voice low. I want to be someone who commands respect. Not just in the office but everywhere. He nodded. Keep that focus. Others chase money, but you're chasing influence. On the way back, my mind wandered to Jason. I had heard rumors. He had lost a small business, been humiliated at a local meeting. Karma maybe, but I didn't smile. I had no time for joy at his expense yet. I had bigger plans. At my apartment, I flipped through letters from Maya, rereading each one carefully. She's waiting, even if she doubts, I whispered. I can't let her down. Luis called, teasing me. Don't get too sentimental. You're supposed to celebrate success. I laughed softly. I am. But some celebrations are quiet inside your head. The next few weeks were a blur of meetings, negotiations, and late-night planning. I invested in projects, networked strategically, and learned to assert myself without arrogance. Each small victory strengthened my confidence, but none replaced the absence of the one person I truly cared about. One night, Cole confronted me after a meeting. "Ryan, everyone talks about your rise. But do you ever think about who you're leaving behind? Your past catching up can ruin everything." I met his gaze steadily. "I think about it every day. And that's why I plan carefully. I won't be stopped." Luis gave me a knowing look later. "You're not just climbing, Ryan. You're becoming untouchable. Just remember why you started." I nodded silently, staring at the city skyline from my office window. Her face appeared in my mind, Maya's kind eyes, her gentle words, the meal she shared that started it all. Every triumph felt incomplete without her by my side. "Soon," I whispered to myself. "Soon I'll return, not as the poor boy they all dismissed but as someone they can't ignore. Someone who commands respect. Someone who can keep his promise." I made a list that night, quiet but precise. Steps to grow, to strengthen, to return. Networking, investments, strategic moves. Every action was calculated. Every late night fueled the plan. Jason's shadow lingered, memories of his mockery, his lies, but I didn't dwell on anger. I converted it into determination. Every humiliation he had caused became motivation, every sneer a reminder of what I must overcome. Not for revenge alone, I told myself, pacing the room. For her. For the promise. For the boy I used to be. By dawn I had a clear vision. The city hummed below, alive and chaotic, but I felt a quiet power settling inside me. I had survived the streets, the exhaustion, the loneliness. I had built something of value, and soon, everything else would fall into place. I sank into my chair, exhausted but focused. "Soon, Maya. I'll come back. And everything we dreamed of will finally be real." I stepped off the bus and pulled my jacket tighter around me. The streets looked smaller somehow, the corners familiar yet foreign. Every step brought memories I hadn't wanted to revisit. "Ryan? Is that you?" a voice called out. I froze, but it wasn't Maya, just a neighbor from the old block, now older, kinder. "Not exactly," I muttered, forcing a smile. "Just passing through." They nodded, unaware of the storm inside me. I walked on, careful not to be recognized, my eyes scanning the streets for signs of the past. I spotted Maya first, sitting on a bench outside the small market. She looked older, stronger, but her eyes still carried that gentle warmth. She laughed softly at something one of the kids said. My chest tightened. I whispered to myself, "You've endured everything, Maya, and yet you're still kind." Jason appeared a few steps away, puffed up, arrogant, bragging loudly to a group of men. "You see? I told you I'd make it big. Some people just don't have what it takes," he boasted. I gritted my teeth. Nothing had changed with him. Still prideful, still cruel in small ways. "He hasn't learned," I muttered. "And he thinks he still controls her." I ducked behind a corner, observing quietly. Maya's new acquaintances greeted her warmly, a couple of young women exchanging smiles and whispered jokes. She was making a life here, and yet the shadow of the past lingered. I couldn't move closer, not yet. My plan had to be perfect. I had to see Jason's arrogance crumble before I revealed myself. A man walked past me, glancing at me curiously. "You look familiar," he said. "Just someone passing by," I replied smoothly, keeping my head down. I watched Maya gather some groceries, her hands steady despite the weight. "She's stronger than I remembered," I whispered. "She survived everything I couldn't protect her from." Jason stomped toward her, laughing. "Maya, you still waste time with these people? You should be with someone who's winning, not chasing dreams that never come true." She looked up at him, irritation flashing. "Jason, still bragging, I see. Not much has changed." My pulse quickened. Her voice, firm, unwavering, still had that fire that had drawn me to her. Yet his presence still seemed to unsettle her. "Ryan's gone," Jason added smugly, unaware I was only a few yards away. "He's nothing now. Probably still struggling in that city of his." I clenched my fists, breathing slowly. "One day you'll regret saying that," I whispered. Maya tilted her head. "I don't care about him, Jason. I care about truth. And your lies don't hold weight with me anymore." I wanted to step forward, to reveal myself, to scream the truth, but I stayed hidden. Patience, I reminded myself. I needed the timing to be perfect. One of Maya's acquaintances nudged her. "You okay? You seem tense." "I'm fine," she replied softly. just thinking about the past. Some people don't change. Her words echoed in me. Jason hadn't changed. He was still dangerous in his arrogance. And I realized something crucial. I couldn't just confront him out of anger. I had to be calculated, precise. A small smile crept onto my face. Everything is falling into place, I whispered. I've worked too hard to rush this. I'll show him what he lost, and what he'll never get back. Jason continued boasting, unaware that I was planning every move in my head. Every word, every gesture, every smug laugh fed my determination. I watched Maya laugh again with her new friends and my chest ached. She deserves happiness, I muttered. And I'll make sure she gets it, on my terms, not his. As the sun began to dip, casting long shadows across the street, Maya paused mid-conversation. Her gaze swept across the crowd, and it landed on me. I froze, every nerve alert. Did she recognize me? Or was it just a fleeting glance? Maya, I whispered softly, stepping slightly forward, my voice catching in my throat. She blinked, staring eyes wide. I could see confusion, curiosity, something familiar flickering in her expression. My heart thudded. Jason turned, noticing her stare, and followed her gaze toward me. His smile faltered for a split second. Who? He muttered. I stayed still, hidden in plain sight, waiting, letting the tension build. My mind raced. Should I reveal myself now? Or wait for the perfect moment? Maya's lips parted, her eyes narrowing slightly, and I held my breath. Recognition was near, maybe a hint of memory, but uncertainty lingered. This was it, the moment where the past collided with the present. And I realized, with a thrill and a pang of fear, that everything I had worked for depended on what happened next. I whispered to myself, barely audible, soon she'll know it's me. And Jason, he'll finally see what he lost. I walked down the familiar street, the same street where Jason had humiliated me years ago, but this time I walked taller, shoulders straight, confidence in every step. I spotted him first, leaning against the corner store, laughing with his friend, Mark. Jason, I called, my voice carrying across the street. He froze, then smirked, assuming he knew who I was, or that it was someone daring to mock him. Who's there? You lost, buddy? I stepped closer, letting the sunlight catch my suit, my presence undeniable. It's me, Jason. Ryan. His smirk faltered. Ryan? The city dreamer? Yes, that Ryan, I said, voice low but sharp. The one you lied about. The one you humiliated. He laughed nervously, glancing at Mark. We were just joking, you know? It's been years. I remember, I said, taking a deliberate step closer. I remember every word, every lie, every smug laugh of yours. You told Maya I had failed. You told her I forgot her. You thought you could control what she believed. Jason's eyes flicked toward the market where Maya stood, watching quietly with others. His confidence wavered. I don't know what you're talking about. You do, I snapped, voice rising. And now I'm here to set things straight. I'm not the boy you laughed at. Mark stepped forward. Hey man, calm down. You're making a scene. I ignored him. Jason, look at me, I said, letting every word carry the weight of years of struggle and determination. I've worked my hands raw, bled for every coin, endured hunger, exhaustion, loneliness, and all the while you spread lies about me. And now, I pulled out my phone and showed him the screen, emails, investment confirmations, news articles highlighting my success. This is me now. The boy you mocked is gone. And I've come back for more than recognition. I've come back for justice. Jason's face paled. This is how? I took another step, letting the space between us crackle with tension. Years of work, Jason. Discipline. Strategy. And every lie you told, every attempt to belittle me only made me stronger. And you? You're still the same. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. His friend Mark muttered, Damn man. He's really serious. Maya approached cautiously, her eyes flicking between us. Ryan, what's happening? I turned to her, letting my gaze soften. Maya, I never forgot my promise. I've come back not as a poor boy but as someone who can keep it. And I want you to see the truth. All those lies Jason told you, they were just that, lies. She blinked, her voice trembling slightly. Ryan, it's really you? Yes, I said, stepping closer to her. It's really me. I never stopped working. I never stopped thinking about you. About us. Jason's mouth opened, then snapped shut. You made it? How? I told you, I said calmly, letting the anger simmer beneath my composed surface. You underestimated me. You spread lies thinking you could break me. But I didn't break. I worked. I built something real. And now you're left with nothing but arrogance and regret. Mark shook his head muttering, "Man, he's done. Completely done." Jason's voice grew defensive, shaky. I didn't mean anything by it. It was all a joke. You can't take it seriously. Joke. I echoed, stepping closer. You humiliated me. You tried to destroy someone I cared about. And you thought it was funny? Do you even hear yourself? He glanced at Maya, his confidence faltering further. Maya, you should listen. She cut him off, voice steady but firm. Jason, I heard enough back then. I believed in Ryan even when I doubted. And now I see the truth. I looked at her, pain and relief mixing in my chest. You don't have to doubt anymore. He can't control your truth. Jason's face twisted in anger. You think you're better than me? You think you've won? I shook my head slowly. It's not about winning. It's about justice. You spread lies, Jason. You manipulated someone I loved. And now, people can see you for who you really are. I gestured toward the neighbors and townspeople who had gathered, murmuring, watching silently. Some nodded subtly, understanding the weight of the confrontation. Jason turned red, sputtering. They don't know anything. They know enough, I said quietly but firmly. Enough to see that arrogance doesn't equal strength. Lies don't equal power. And cruelty never lasts. Maya stepped closer to me, a soft hand brushing my arm. Ryan, what do you want him to do? I looked at Jason, then at her. My voice softened but carried steel. I don't need revenge, Maya. I need him to see his own failure. I need him to understand that his actions have consequences. Jason's mouth opened, closed, words failing him. His friend Mark pulled him back slightly, whispering, Dude, maybe we should leave. No, Jason said finally, voice cracking. No, I didn't. I shook my head. Save it. I've heard enough. Maya's eyes met mine, gratitude and emotion shining through. You came back, and you stayed true. I never doubted you, Ryan. Even when it was hard. I exhaled, tension flooding out of me. I had to. For you. For the promise. For everything we endured. Jason's shoulders slumped. He looked around at the silent crowd, the town's eyes finally seeing him for what he was. Confusion, humiliation, and the first taste of karmic justice settled over him like ice. I turned to Maya, offering a small, relieved smile. We can start again, if you want. Her lips quivered and she nodded slowly, unable to speak. Jason remained frozen, staring, realizing that the boy he thought he had broken had returned stronger, wiser, and untouchable. And in that moment I knew, the confrontation was over. The truth was out. And the first wave of justice had already begun. I found Maya sitting by the river where we used to share our childhood lunches. Her eyes were distant, thoughtful, but they lit up when she saw me approaching. Ryan, she breathed, almost a whisper, standing slowly. Maya, I said, my voice catching. I'm here. I never stopped thinking about you. I never stopped keeping my promise. She looked away, her fingers twisting in her lap. You left. You just left me behind. Do you know how much that hurt? I swallowed, feeling the weight of years. I had to leave. I didn't have anything to offer you but struggle and hunger. I wanted to come back, when I could truly protect you, provide for you. I didn't want you to suffer because of me. She let out a shaky laugh, tinged with bitterness. Protect me? Ryan. I was hungry, alone sometimes, and you weren't there. Do you know what it felt like to wait for someone who promised everything? I know, I said softly, sitting beside her. I thought about you every day. Every hour I worked, every step I took, it was for you. For us. Her eyes glistened, a mix of relief and anger. So all those letters, you were alive but you couldn't come home? You made me doubt everything. I know, I admitted. And I regret that. But I kept my promise in spirit. I was building the life I swore I would. Every decision, every sacrifice, it was for the moment I could come back to you with something real. She looked at me, tears brimming. I don't know if I can forgive you. But seeing you now, part of me never stopped believing. I reached for her hand, holding it gently. I understand, Maya. I don't expect forgiveness right away. But I want you to know that my heart never left you. She squeezed my hand, hesitant but firm. I wanted to hate you, Ryan. I wanted to blame you. But seeing you, and knowing how much you fought, I don't know. I can't ignore the truth. You kept your word in your own way. I exhaled slowly, relief and love flooding me. Maya, all I ever wanted was for us to be together. And now we finally can if you let me. She looked down, quiet for a moment, then lifted her gaze. You've grown into someone I barely recognize. Strong, capable, and yet still the boy who believed in me so fiercely. I smiled softly. And I always will. That boy is still me, Maya. He never left your side even when I was miles away. We talked for hours, the words flowing freely. She told me about the hardships she endured, her family struggling, her own sacrifices, the moments when she nearly gave up. I listened, my heart aching with empathy and admiration. You were right, she said finally, voice trembling. I've survived, because I believed you'd come back. I didn't realize how much I still needed that belief until now. You never needed me to survive, I said gently. You were always strong. But together, we can be stronger. And I want to be by your side, Maya, for everything that comes next. Her smile was soft, tentative, but full of warmth. I want that too. But Ryan, what about Jason? I shook my head, remembering his downfall. He's facing the consequences of his actions. The town elders, the community, they've seen through him. His arrogance cost him respect, money, and trust. Karma is patient, but it's thorough. Maya's eyes widened. I saw some of it already. People talking, whispers. He's losing everything. Yes, I said. And that's not because I sought revenge. It's the natural result of his choices. Lies, arrogance, cruelty, they always catch up. We don't need to drag him down, he's already falling. She nodded slowly. I suppose that's fair. Justice in its own way. I leaned back, letting the river breeze brush past us. Maya, I know we've both carried pain, anger, and doubt. But we survived. And now we can rebuild, not just our lives but trust, hope, love. Tears slipped down her cheeks, but her smile grew. I can feel it, Ryan. I can feel the weight lifting. All these years, it's like a storm finally passing. I reached for her, taking both her hands in mine. And I promise no matter what comes next, I'll never leave again. I'll be here not just for the happy days but the struggles too. We face them together. She squeezed my hands, nodding, voice firm despite the emotion. Together. I think I can finally believe that. After everything, I want to try. We sat in silence for a moment, the river reflecting the fading sunlight, and I felt a calm I hadn't known in years. For once, success wasn't about money, power, or revenge. It was about her and the promise we had shared since childhood. Later, the town elders approached, smiling warmly. Ryan, Maya, one said, we've watched your journey from afar. It's inspiring the way you both endured. I nodded, gratitude flooding me. Thank you. It hasn't been easy. But we learned that patience, perseverance, and truth, they matter more than anything else. Another elder added, and Jason? I looked over, seeing Jason standing alone, disheveled, humiliated. He's learning the hard way. His choices caught up with him. And that's enough. Justice has its course. Maya rested her head against my shoulder, her voice soft. I never wanted him to suffer, just for us to have peace. Peace, I repeated, smiling. And now we can have it. Together. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden light across the town. I held Maya close, feeling the weight of years lift from both of us. You kept your promise, she whispered. Not just in words but in heart. I always will, I said, feeling a warmth that no success or victory could ever replace. And now it's our time, our lives, our love, our future. Jason looked on from a distance, powerless, while the townspeople witnessed the reunion. Karma, patience, and truth had aligned perfectly. And for the first time in years I felt complete. With Maya in my arms, I whispered to her softly, we made it, Maya. Finally, we made it. She smiled, tears of relief and love glinting in her eyes. Finally, Ryan, finally. I sat on the porch of Maya's small home, watching the town wake up in soft morning light. Jason's absence from his usual corner was noted by a few passing neighbors, whispering quietly about his misfortunes. I let them talk. Karma, I thought, works in its own time. Ryan, you're quiet this morning, Maya said, handing me a cup of coffee. I'm just reflecting, I replied, taking a slow sip. Seeing the way things unfold without interference, it's oddly satisfying. She tilted her head. You mean, Jason? I nodded. Yes. He thought arrogance and lies could carry him through life. But he's learning, slowly, painfully. And I didn't have to lift a finger for it. His choices did the work. Maya laughed softly, though her eyes glinted with concern. I never wanted him hurt. I just wanted truth to be seen. That's exactly it, I said, reaching for her hand. Justice doesn't need vengeance. It's patient. It catches up naturally. She squeezed my hand, and for a moment I could feel all the tension of the past years melt away. And us, she whispered. Are we finally free from all that? I smiled faintly. I think we are, Maya. But freedom comes with awareness. Watching Jason stumble reminds me how fragile arrogance is. And it reminds me to remain humble, no matter how far I've come. A neighbor called out from across the street. Ryan. Maya. Did you hear? Jason's latest deal fell through, completely. Lost the town's support. Everyone's talking. I let a quiet chuckle escape. I saw the signs long before anyone else did. Greed blinds people, Maya. The harder you try to manipulate life, the faster it unravels. She frowned slightly. Do you ever think about how much we lost, waiting, hoping? All the time, I admitted. But I also see that waiting taught patience. It taught perspective. And it taught me the value of perseverance. Without those years, I wouldn't be ready to keep my promise to you, ready to stand for myself. Maya looked down at the river flowing nearby, then back at me. And the people who supported him? I nodded toward the town figures and a few of Jason's former allies, whispering as they noticed his failures. Some underestimated me. They thought I'd crumble under pressure, that absence meant weakness. But perseverance, careful, steady effort, it always wins in the end. Her eyes softened. It's not easy to watch someone you despised suffer. But I see your point. Patience is stronger than rage. I shrugged lightly. Anger fades. Strategy, resilience, integrity, they last. Jason's arrogance only made it easier to see. Every misstep, every lost opportunity, all consequences of his own choices. A small boy ran past, chasing a ball, laughing. Maya smiled. Even the town's younger ones are noticing the shift. The quiet justice in everything. Exactly, I said. And it's satisfying without being cruel. No gloating, no boasting. Just observation and understanding. That's the real reward. Maya rested her head against my shoulder, quiet for a few moments. I've always admired that about you, Ryan. Even as a child, you'd think things through. You never acted rashly, even when everything was unfair. I rubbed her back gently. I learned early that reaction without reason only leads to regret. And now, seeing Jason falter, seeing truth unfold without my interference, I feel peace. She lifted her gaze, curiosity in her eyes. Do you ever think about going back to the city? Your empire, your life there? I shook my head slowly. The city will always be there. My work, my investments, they're secure. But right now, this rebuilding with you being here, it matters more. Success without meaning is empty. She smiled, soft and tender. And meaning? I suppose we found it again. I nodded, watching the streets. Jason's former allies were arguing quietly about failed ventures, financial losses, and trust broken. They're learning, I murmured. Everyone has their lesson. Some faster, some slower. But patience reveals truth. Maya leaned closer. I can see why you waited so long to return. Not just for power, but for understanding. You've changed, Ryan. And for the better. I had to, I said. Not just for Maya, not just for promises, but for myself. The boy I was would have rushed back, seeking revenge. The man I am knows better. He waits. He observes. He acts with purpose. A group of townspeople gathered near the market, whispering about Jason's latest humiliation. It's incredible, one said. How quickly arrogance crumbles when it isn't supported by integrity. I let the words wash over me. Exactly. This is the world I've been preparing for. Not just for revenge or validation, but for wisdom. To see justice happen naturally, and to be able to enjoy it without bitterness. Maya rested her hand on mine again. We've learned a lot, haven't we? Yes, I said, gazing at the horizon. About patience, perseverance, and what really matters. About how greed and arrogance can't override truth. About how waiting, watching, and working quietly shapes more than anger ever could. She smiled softly, leaning her head on my shoulder. And Jason. I looked toward the distance, where his former allies muttered complaints and guilt. He'll survive, I suppose. Lessons are harsh but necessary. Humility is his teacher now, whether he likes it or not. Maya whispered, I like this version of justice. Quiet, patient, real. I nodded, feeling the calm settle in me. Me too. And we've earned our peace. Together. The river reflected the golden morning sun, and I realized that nothing, no betrayal, no hardship, could undo the growth, patience, and understanding that had brought us here. Karma had worked its course and I could finally breathe. I looked at Maya, a smile touching my lips. We made it through, and we did it right. No shortcuts, no vengeance, just patience and perseverance. She smiled back, eyes shining. Finally, Ryan, finally. I squeezed her hand gently. Finally. I held Maya's hand tightly as we walked down the narrow streets of my childhood neighborhood. Every corner, every faded wall, every small shop, memories pressed in from every side. Ryan, it feels different seeing it now, Maya said softly. I remember these streets, but they seem smaller somehow. I chuckled, glancing at her. I feel the same. Everything looked bigger when we were kids, yet somehow heavier. Poverty made everything feel larger than life. She laughed, a soft, melodic sound that warmed my chest. And yet we survived it all. Somehow. Yes, I said, squeezing her hand. Even when I thought the world was against me, I kept your face in my mind. You reminded me why I had to keep going. Maya looked at me, eyes glistening. And I kept hoping you'd come back, that you'd keep your promise. Even when I doubted. You never doubted your heart, I said, voice soft. And that gave me strength. Every sacrifice, every long night, every small victory, it was for the promise I made to you. And today, I can finally keep it. She stopped walking and turned to face me. Ryan, we've both changed so much. I've grown stronger and you've become someone incredible. But at the same time, it's still you. I smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. The boy who promised he'd come back for you never left. That boy learned to fight, to endure, to understand life. And now he's here with you. She leaned her head on my shoulder, and I felt a warmth that no wealth or success could ever replace. I can't believe we're finally here, together, after everything. We are, I said. And it's more than I ever dreamed. Not because I'm rich or powerful, but because I get to share life with you. That's the true victory. We walked in silence for a few moments, letting memories wash over us. I pointed to a small alley where I used to play soccer with Jason. Do you remember how Jason tried to kick the ball into the shop window? I thought we'd all get caught and grounded. Maya laughed, her hand tightening in mine. I remember. And you protected me from him every time. Even when he was cruel, you always defended me. I never forgot, I said, feeling my chest tighten. Even when I left, I remembered. Even through the struggles, even through the loneliness, I remembered. She paused, looking down the street where Jason's former house stood. And him, Jason. He's finally realizing everything, isn't he? I nodded slowly. Yes. He's reflecting on his choices. And I don't need to punish him. Life has done that. Arrogance and selfishness have a way of finding their own consequences. Maya's eyes softened. It's strange, isn't it? Seeing him suffer without us doing anything. Justice just unfolds. Exactly, I said. And it reminds me why patience matters. Rushing for revenge only tarnishes the soul. Waiting, enduring, working silently, that's how real change happens. She smiled at me, tears shining. And we endured together, in a way. Even when we were apart. Yes, I said, feeling gratitude and relief flood through me. And now we get to build something real, without lies, without fear. Just us, and the life we choose. We reached the small park where I used to sit and dream of a better life. The swings swayed in the wind, empty, quiet. I sat on one, gesturing for her to join. I used to sit here, I said, voice low. Imagining a day I'd come back to this neighborhood, stronger, capable, and with someone who believed in me. That day is today, Maya. She sat beside me, letting out a soft sigh. I believed in you even when it seemed impossible. And now, seeing you here, keeping your promise, it feels like everything makes sense. I reached over, holding her hand against my chest. It all does. The struggle, the heartbreak, the waiting, it led to this moment. And nothing can take it away now. She smiled faintly. And Jason. Jason will learn, I said quietly. He's left to reflect, to understand. And that's his lesson. We don't need to enforce it, life will. Maya leaned her head on my shoulder, soft and content. I've wanted this, peace, closure, love, for so long. And now we have it. Yes, I whispered, wrapping an arm around her. And I promise we'll keep it. Not perfect, not without struggles, but real. Together. We stayed there for a while, letting the quiet evening surround us, sharing smiles, laughter, even a few tears. Every memory of our childhood, every hardship, every moment of waiting, it all converged into a sense of completion, subtle and deep. I never imagined life could feel this full, Maya murmured. I nodded. Me neither. But it's worth every sacrifice, every moment of doubt. Because it brought me to you. She looked up at me, eyes bright. Ryan, you kept your promise. And I can finally believe in us again. I smiled, pressing my forehead gently to hers. And I always will, Maya. Always. As the sun dipped behind the rooftops, painting the streets in gold, I realized something vital. Life wouldn't be perfect. Challenges would come. But we had conquered our past pain, endured the hardships, and found each other again. And for the first time in years, I felt complete. With Maya by my side, the boy I had been and the man I had become were finally whole. I whispered softly just to her, "We made it. Finally, Maya, our promise fulfilled." She smiled, tears of happiness glinting. Finally, Ryan. Finally.